Hey everybody, welcome back to episode 26 of Jack Out of the Box. Um, this week was a bit less busy, a bit like last week. Because uni's basically finished. We're just at home studying for exams in starting this weekend. So it means I haven't really been up to much. I've been attempting to study, which I think I did a lot better today than the past days, which is good. So after recording last week's episode that went up a little bit late, I forgot to get it ready to upload. But it was up at 8:30 or so last week, which was good. I don't think it would have caused too many problems for people. So then Friday was the day the new Call of Duty was releasing, or the full game was coming out. So I spent the morning playing the campaign for ages until the full game came out, which meant me and the other few of my mates who got it could play multiplayer together for a bit. Then around 6 o'clock, one of my mates was having a bit of a birthday party for his 20th this year. I went and hung out there with him and some of his other mates and had dinner and cake and a bit of a fire pit, and then came home about 10 or so, which was pretty good. Then Saturday, went out, had some brekkie. One of my other mates who we'd played COD together for a bit on Friday, we were like, we don't have anything to do tomorrow on Saturday. We pretty much played that all day, grinding some unlocks for attachments and new guns and most importantly gold camo on one of them, which I managed to get the other day, which was pretty cool. And that was pretty much it. I did nothing other than that. Then Sunday again, we went out and got brekkie. I'd come back and played COD for a little bit. Then I had a barbecue event here to run with a couple of the other RAs on Sunday at like 12 o'clock. So I went out and hung there for a couple of hours and had fun. Then came back and played more games for a little bit. Then had some dinner, watched a Home Team, the new movie. I don't know how new it is, but a new movie to me. And then I went to bed. Then Monday, after I'd got out of bed and had a shower and stuff, I watched the Mexican Grand Prix, which was good. It was a little bit of a boring race, but it was, I guess, I saw on the internet a lot of people were saying it was the most boring race they've had all season and blah, blah, blah. But actually, I kind of enjoyed it because it was just racing. There was 2 safety cars, I think, that didn't really impact the race that much. So there weren't any stops in the race because of crashes or weather or anything. It was a little bit interesting of people's strategies and stuff because some teams had assumed it could be a one stop, so they only had to pit once to change their tyres. But a few of the other guys were like, no, I don't think so. And then really the sort of threat to Verstappen and Red Bull this week was Mercedes. They'd got qualified P2 and 3 and were leading for a bit And then, yeah, well, ultimately they went from, I think, mediums to hards, and they were assuming that Verstappen's mediums that he switched onto after 20 laps, I think. They thought they were going to run out. They were going to die, and yeah, Mercedes could pounce with their longer lifespan on their hard tyres. But that didn't happen. And yeah, from when Max got on the mediums, his crew were like, yep, run 122s. And yeah, he ran 122s till the end of the race, apart from the 2 safety car laps. So yeah, for 50 laps, he raced every lap within a second of each other, which was pretty nuts to do it for that many laps in a row, I think, anyway. Then after that had finished, I did the study I wanted to get done, which was some fill in the blanks and multiple choice and some simpler programming questions for web development for that exam. Then I'd played some FIFA, and I've got this Lego Spider-Man that I had started ages ago and then have decided to do some now. So I did that for a bit. Yeah, then Gus came over, we had some dinner, and that was it. We didn't... Wait, what did we do? Yeah, we didn't play poker. We played games for a little bit, I think, after that. And then Tuesday, I did some study for my e-business exam. Then wrote all of the music part for this episode, which was good. And then my physio and occupational therapist came over to go through my transfers and some stretches that we've started to do with all my whole group of support staff. And then what did I do? Then I played. That was from like 3:30 to about 6:30. I think the OT left eventually, which was good to go through that extra stuff after everyone had left. Then yesterday, again, I'd studied for the e-business exam. We got like a document of 20 potential questions for the exam. So I did 10 of them Tuesday, 10 of them Wednesday. And then I'd played a little bit of COD, and then started working on the Lego Spider-Man for a bit again, until I broke his leg and then a bit fell off, and I had to try and work out which 2 steps I need to go back and do again. Yeah, and then took it apart down to, so it was the top of the bottom of the leg and the bottom of the top of the leg are a full step apart, or 2 full steps apart, so they're not in between a stage. So which I'm probably planning on fixing after this. And then we went out to the Bavarian, which is this German restaurant, for dinner. So it was good to go out and do something social on Wednesday, now that trivia's finished for the semester. And then today I went back through all the chapter summaries of the e-business textbook and wrote them down in a Word doc so I can read through them probably tomorrow and over the weekend before my exam on Wednesday, or for my exam on Wednesday. For you guys who will see this, that exam was yesterday. Yeah. So then I had a podiatrist appointment to get my toenails trimmed and sorted out because they're a bit annoying at the moment. Yeah, then wrapped up what I've done this week. Sort of part of the podcast, and then I'm recording it now. And then I think I'm probably going to tackle this Lego and put Spider-Man back together after I've finished recording the rest of this episode. So this week will be Mac Miller's Circles, his first posthumous release album that was released in 2020, about 18 months after Mac's passing. And then in March 2020, his estate announced that there would be a deluxe version being released with 2 bonus songs, Right and Floating. Which I've included. That I've done the deluxe version, so there's 2 extra tracks at the bottom, at the end. This is ultimately the sister album to Swimming, which I think Mac's idea was that it was going to be like swimming in circles. So basically, you can start from the start of Swimming, go through to the end of Circles, and then restart Swimming again. And it all sort of flows like a bit of a story, and the 2 ends join together, making it pretty easy to, just listen to the 2 albums for multiple loops sort of thing. So, so I guess we'll get started with track 1, Circles, which has Mac sort of speak on being directionless, feeling like his life is happening in circles and he can't really do anything to get out of it. The song and the title are in reference to the last verse on So It Goes from Swimming. This is what it looked like right before you fall. The album sort of flows perfectly in after the last song on Swimming, which I'm pretty sure is So It Goes, because that would make sense that they connect together as per what I sort of said before. Yeah, it is So It Goes. Which sort of ends with Mac describing himself as an ascension into heaven. Which happened, which he posted in a tweet the night he passed, but that's since been deleted. Although it's most likely that they're not related. This first sentence is the perfect thing to say if you really did know what was going to happen. Ascending into heaven after after Swimming, and then Circles being released after that. I just end up right at the start of the line, drawing circles. With life, there's like a lot of circles where stuff, you start somewhere, go around the circle, and generally end up back where you started. In this circle, Mac's probably summing up the preceding lines. He has tried to change, but he always ends up relapsing and going in circles. Well, I drink my whiskey and you sip your wine. Here it kind of just sounds like Mac's talking on how we all have our own vices and addictions, and our own problems that we struggle facing. And I can keep you safe. I can keep you safe. Mac's acting as a guide here and saying that he can all help us along with these struggles. A continuation, on the idea before that we all have our own vices, whether they be whiskey or wine. You're feeling sorry, I'm feeling fine. Don't you put any more stress on yourself. It's one day at a time. Mac understands that people feel sorry for him. but he feels these are his own problems and he's trying to work them out. And yeah, he's content with that, and he's happy to try and handle it by himself. He doesn't want other people to stress themselves out worrying about him, since he's trying to handle his demons one day at a time. It goes around like the hand that keeps counting time. Mac saying that, yeah, every day keeps coming, and time's the one thing that can't ever stop. The hands on the clock continue to spin in circles, just as our lives continue to go up and down and round in circles. Yeah, basically adds to the ongoing theme of circles and the non-stop cycle of life. Then track number 2, Complicated. Mac stresses over life's daily, never-ending complications. A soulful melody with multiple synths. Mac emphasizes that he's too young to be feeling the way he does, and focuses on getting himself through one day at a time. Some people say they want to live forever. That's way too long. I'll just get through today. The idea of dying young versus having a long life is one Mac explores throughout his whole career. Yeah, the song Back in the Day from Kids includes the line something like a Peter Pan, "Nah, I ain't trying to grow up, because being old sucks, I just want to go nuts." And then in Small Worlds, released as his first single off Swimming, Mac states, "Don't want to grow old, so I smoke just in case." And then, yeah, considering Mac struggles to get sober in the last years, or a lot of years of his life, these lines kind of tap into the slogan and stuff from NA and AA, one day at a time. Well, I'm way too young to be getting old. Yeah, this is one of the other times Mac has pointed out that he kind of feels older than he actually is. He often called himself a young vet because he'd been in the music game a long time despite his young age. "Who you talking to? Well, you're talking to me, baby." This line feels like it refers to Mac struggling with self-acknowledgement, saying how he doesn't recognize himself in the words which people speak by him. Like, yeah, damn, that does not sound like me. Yeah, and then the last bit, "Before I start to think about a future, first can I please get through a day." Mac's taking his life one day at a time. Yeah, something common amongst people battling addiction or depression, which kind of relates to the closing song of this album, "Once a Day," but we'll get to that in a bit. Then track 3, Blue World. Yeah, this is basically just Mac rapping about the trials and tribulations of life, reflecting on all that he has. Makes subtle references to both Ariana Grande and the late Biggie Smalls. Features a trippy sample flip of "It's a Blue World" by the Four Freshmen, basically on the vocals chopped and pitched up and down. Which the production was handled by Guy Lawrence, one member of the EDM duo Disclosure, where they do a pretty awesome video breakdown of how they created the track on YouTube, which I'm going to link below because it's pretty cool. Yeah, well, this a mad world that made me crazy. Might just turn around, do 180. This line's a reference to the film Donnie Darko, where the main character, Donnie, seemingly goes crazy throughout the movie and ends up sacrificing him at the end, traveling back in time, hence the 180. Yeah. And then The devil on my doorstep being so shady. Don't trip. We don't gotta let him in. Don't trip. Yeah, I let it go, but I never go with it. The devil, almost always seen as a dark and negative figure, represents Mac's mental health and relationship with drugs. They are close to him, constantly taunting him to come back and give in to them, open the door and let him in. Mac also makes a subtle reference to Eminem here. Yeah, which the cover of his Marshall Mathers LP features Eminem Slim Shady sitting on the doorstep of his Detroit home, hence the devil on Mac's doorstep being shady. I'm here to make it all better with a little music for you. Mac often made feel-good music, which contrasts most of his songs towards the end of his career. Yeah, they kind of have a faster beats, lighter topics. They show hope and teach us a few things. And where am I up to? Here, Max putting into the world that he's going to make us feel good and feel better. You know how it goes. It ain't broke, don't fix. Yeah, he's saying that if something in your life is working fine and serving its purpose the way it's supposed to, yeah, why change anything? When the devil trying to call your line, but shit, I always shine, even when the light dim. People often refer to mental illness as demons in their heads or on their shoulders. And the devil trying to call his line refers to this voice trying to talk to him and tell him something. Yeah, basically a straight metaphor. Mac imagines his mental health as the devil calling his telephone, trying to speak to him. And yeah, then like sunshine, he always shines. As a metaphor for optimism, it's the sun or the sun at the end of a dark tunnel. The hope that things will get better. Max says that even when he's suffering and the light in the tunnel seems so far away, he's shining and making his own temporary light to get where he needs to and get by. See, I was in the whip riding, me and my bitch. We was listening to us, no one else, and that's it. That's a flex just a bit. Let me talk my shit. Saying my head got big, yeah. Mac reminiscing about a time where him and a girlfriend were driving around listening to their own music, flexing the strong discographies that him and most likely here Ariana have. Yeah, which also references to one of Biggie's songs as well. And then my head got big. He's basically talking about his inflated ego that he has. Hey, one of these days we'll all get by. Don't be afraid. Don't fall in line. Mac instilling some comfort into us, trying to basically promise us that everything will be okay one day, eventually. Yeah, in addition to telling us that we'll all get by, Max reaching out here and telling us not to fall in line, into the line of what people want us to be, and just be us, and things will work out. Track 4 is Good News. Mac's first officially released music since he'd passed. It was the first single off Circles. In the track, Mac discusses many of the same themes from swimming. He speaks on having like he has no reprieve from the negative feelings in his life. Yeah. I spend the whole day in my head, do a little spring cleaning. spending the whole day in his head. He's alone. His thoughts are his only company. And then spring cleaning, he's clearing it out. He uses it to emphasize that his mind's cluttered or depressive, and he's doing some spring cleaning to clean it up a bit. Got the cards in my hand. I hate dealing. Having all the cards is like basically an idiom that's like to control the fate of the people around you. As a music icon, Mac's in a circle, and his fans rely on him to release music and make good music that they can listen to. In opposed to dealing with this pressure and responsibility of being in control, Mac would rather just live, and he's able to, just release his music when he wants to and just live his life how he wants to. There ain't a better time than today. Well, maybe I'll lay down for a little, instead of trying to figure everything out. While today can feel like the day you want to fix all your problems. Lasting change can't happen if you're always tired from your personal stresses. And all I do is say sorry. Half the time I don't even know what I'm saying it about. Mac recognizes that he's always apologizing, but he's never actually changing his actions. He's acknowledged that he should grow from these experiences instead of basically just apologizing all the time. Good news, good news, good news. That's all they want to hear. No, they don't like it when I'm down. The people around Mac want him to say that he's good. They want him to suppress his negative feelings that he has all the time. Because they don't like it when he's like that. I'm running out of gas, hardly anything left. Hope I make it home from work. Well, so tired of being so tired. Mac could literally be talking about forgetting to fill his car up. But it's more likely that he's got an empty state of mind and there's not much left. He feels like he can never fall down when he starts coming off his high. And he returns to his regular state and he's tired. His addiction keeps him off the feeling, keeps him from feeling normal off the drugs. I heard they don't talk about me too much no more, and that's the problem with the closed door. Mac expressing what it feels like to stay inside, maybe even a full shut-in. That's the problem with being behind a closed door, protecting your privacy. Shut-ins tend to successfully shut everyone else out. Nothing gets in that door as long as it's closed, and nothing can get better. I know maybe I'm too late. I could make it there some other time. Mac may be saying that he feels like he's served his purpose in life. He's accepted life and death, and he's more comfortable coming to terms with it. Mac considered that if he were to die, he doesn't mind, and he's looking forward to whatever's next. Which is kind of the way a lot of his albums and mixtapes, his last song has most of the time alluded to his own death. This is something that sort of happened since watching movies with the sound off. Then I'll finally discover that it ain't that bad. Ain't so bad. In the third verse, Mac reflects on the idea of heaven and the afterlife, and if he will make it there. Mac theorizes that while he may be at least somewhat afraid of death, once he makes it to the other side and sees what he feels like is waiting there for him, that ain't that bad. yeah, it's sort of a comforting idea to people who are afraid or anxious about what does or doesn't come after death. Then track 5, I can see Mac explaining to everyone around him that he can see his predicament from their outside perspective. The first verse has a hopeful theme implying that he's ready to try and change, as he's switching location, looking for balance. Where the second verse then flips back on this, as Mac reflects from his fall from the top. The line, "Life is a fantasy until you wake up in shock," shows that he's awake and ready to try again. I'm looking for balance. I'm in an oasis. Wait, no. You be complaining and I can't explain it, I guess. Nothing compared to this feeling. The feeling amazing. Mac talking about his friends and family having problems with his drug use, but his demons always keep pulling him back in. I'm looking for balance. I'm in an oasis. Mac conjuring a metaphor from his newfound perspective with his current life circumstances. He's in the moment of luscious peace, calm and safety, inside of what's been a desolate place where all these challenges might have been facing. But yeah, it's a rare break, it's unsustained, and he needs help navigating where to go from here. And all I know, if life is but a dream, then so are we. Show me something. And all I know, if life is but a dream, then so are we. Show me something I can see. Mac saying that he believes life to be surreal and his experiences have come from a dream state, not real life. So he doesn't really know how to connect with his experiences. And he's asking for some confirmation that he's wrong, that his experiences are something he's seen on a real level and that he can properly understand them. Hitting the ground, I'm hitting the ground, I fell from the top. If Mac's hitting the ground, he's hitting rock bottom. Meaning he has no further to fall, so there's hope he can get better. And then the chorus plays again. Oh, pardon me. Then track 6, Everybody. This is sort of an expired cover of the Arthur Lee song, Everybody's Gotta Live. Yeah, it's a reflective tune from Mac with an existential theme. Yeah, it's based on 2 observations that he's made about life. With them being everybody's got to live. What it sort of feels like Mac's saying here, humans by default have to make the most of the life given to them, regardless of their situations. And everybody's gonna die. Then the second observation of this logically points up to the idea of death being inevitable, and ultimately what those 2 declarations are together is that life has its ups and downs. And Mac dropping this philosophy on a person who he reads as if they may be a new romantic interest. Feel like I've seen a million sunsets, yeah. If you're with me, I'll never go away. That's when I stopped and took a look at my baby. She said, if you're with me, I won't go away. The sunset symbolizes an ending of something. Yeah, Mac's seen a million endings, and he's telling this girl that he won't fade into nothingness as long as she's there with him. And she repeats the same to him. And then track 7, Mac talks about a broken relationship beyond fixing. Out of the woods implies that the worst of something's over, the best is yet to come. Uh, yeah, in this situation, Mac describes him and his significant other, Kemi, are in the woods. The worst of the situation he's currently stuck in and lost. Yeah, things like this ain't built to last. I might just fade like those before me, referring to how a lot of relationships end with the lover being forgotten, just like all the others came before him. Could be a reference to Mac's larger view of his fame, or feelings that he's had in terms of his status as a famous artist. Put it together, then it break. All the energy I take, it never stop. Putting your life back together as an addict is a lifelong process. It's not enough to just get clean and back on your feet. You got to put work in every day, exercise, a great discipline to avoid relapse, or you'd just be back where you started, going in circles. Yeah, I slip, I never fall. I tried to tell you about a better life and get involved, big or small. Mac has had issues with drugs in the past, which he now feels he's past. Yeah, but he still recognizes that he had an issue, and he struggled to break away from them. Then track 8, Hand Me Downs, the only track with a feature with Barrow on the chorus. The song has Mac reflect on his headspace and the methods he used to cope. Yeah, I made it, but I hate once I build it, I break it. This line sums up Circles pretty well. Mac's self-destructive nature of constantly building and breaking is basically what completes the circle that he's swimming around in. Say you need more of a family round. Let's turn these genes into hand-me-downs. Seems he's contemplating starting a family with someone. Hand-me-downs used within the context of the lyrics seems to be a metaphor that he has a desire to have children with whatever lady he's talking to in the song. That's Charity. I move carelessly. That's why I'm always tripping. Yeah, the literal meaning of the bar has the idea of someone who's clumsy and physically tripping over stuff. But it's most likely tripping here means freaking out or overreacting. Finally, it may also refer to them being high to the extent that they're disconnected from their surroundings. Yeah, tripping is normally referred to as the use of hallucinogens. Yeah, but given Mac's open struggle with addiction, it may just be used to refer to being high in general, not just in this stage at the moment. Track 9, That's On Me. This is, kind of Mac's way of expressing accountability for his mental state, and trying to help people who might be in the same sort of situation. An introspective track with a lot of allusions to his bad mental health. I let it go. I'll cut the strings. Today I'm fine. Don't wait around. Basically, this is pretty much all I wrote about on the sort of fills the whole song in a very short space, I think. Basically just him showcasing that, he understands and he accepts where he's at mentally now. Even though he may have struggled in the past, he knows that, it's on him. And he's accepted the responsibility and yeah, he understands that that's where he's at, not anyone else, basically. And track 10, Hands. Oh, this is probably the only regulation rap track on Circles. It has Mac question his behavior, and some of his more negative thoughts. Yeah, so I basically just cut the chorus up because it is I think the best part to talk about. And yeah. Why don't you wake up from your bad dreams? Bad dreams is something that you'll generally get when you're anxious. Something that Mac raps about continuously through this whole song. Why don't you stop tripping about some shit that ain't ever happened yet, and focus on what matters, where you are right now, what's happened now, what's happened in the past, not what you're just assuming might happen in the future. When's the last time you took a little time for yourself? While Mac acknowledges that he needs to treat himself better, he was still on drugs, which ultimately led to him passing. And yeah, it's evident throughout Circles that generally his lyrics are referencing depression and death, to heavy subjects, not light stuff like his earlier music may have had. There's no reason to be so down, rather fly around like there's no ground. Yeah, Mac battled with his drug addiction, and was outspoken about his preference for navigating life under the influence. I think I may have mentioned this before, in a documentary in 2016 from Fader, Stop Making Excuses, Mac explains the origins of most of his drug habit. It started by me just sitting inside all day, and then it's like, then you get bored. Then you're like, well, I could just be high and I could have a whole adventure in this room with a cure for boredom at his fingertips. Mac feels he had no reason to come down from his high. And I bet you wish you hadn't ate, because carrying this weight break your glass knees. Yeah, I think this is sort of the double-edged sword, being famous and the stress and responsibility that comes along with that. Mac feels a lot of weight on his shoulders because of his success. They're basically that giving him the anxiety. Yeah, don't need no chauffeur. F the backseat. No, I'll stay behind the wheel and never half speed. Mac talking about how he wants to take control of his life, instead of letting others drive for him or take the hits. Which is kind of something he hits on quite a few times in this album. That, yeah, he wants to take control of his life and he wants to help himself get through his problems rather than everyone else doing it for him. Then track 11, Surf, an emotional overview of Mac's personal problems and his mental state, taking a bird's eye view of the situation. Mac lets us in on a view of his perceived craziness and his own self-esteem issues. The whole world is open, a playground for me and you, and we could be fine. Shit, who the hell knows? Mac thinking openly about all the possibilities he has with his potential lover. He ventures to say, yeah, that they could end up okay and healthy, but who knows? The whole world, they know it. They just waiting for you, me and you. Yeah, Mac talking about his relation with Ariana, justifying being on the side of the world's opinion to put them together, basically. They might tell you that I went crazy. I'm just trying to read you. very frequent within relationships. Friends of either party are quick to say someone's crazy, when in reality they're probably just in love, which can make you appear crazy to others. But if you've ever been it, you're simply trying everything to make you and them happy. I know we try, and the days they go by. Mac has a belief that him and his partner could try and get things together to put their joint journey on life, basically. But these take time as thoughts and emotions come and go on, settle after who knows how long, maybe not ever. Until we get old, there's water in the flowers, let's grow. People, they lie, but hey, so do I. Until it gets old, there's water in the flowers, let's grow. Water's sort of symbolic to represent both life and destruction. On swimming, Mac uses drowning in water to represent his perennial struggles with addiction and heartbreak, attempting to overcome them by swimming to the shore. Conversely, on surf, Mac's above the water and has a more positive perspective now that he's no longer drowning. He views water as a source of life and personal growth. Let it go, let it be. We're all we need today. Let it go, let it be. Works perfectly with the rest of the song's message. Take it slow. Accept yourself. If we're together, we'll be alright. If not, whatever. Mac telling his lover and probably himself to just let go of their problems, because as long as they're together, everything's gonna be fine. And I know that somebody knows me. I know somewhere there's home. One generally prefers to be at their home of all places, homes where the heart is, which is where homes where someone's most emotionally attached. Mac's saying that although he doesn't feel understood by anyone that he's around, Mac has faith that someone in the world will, though. Whether that's a significant other or not, he can't be sure. But he has a person that he can finally be at home. I'm starting to see that all I have to do is get up and go. Mac saying that if you want to make progress, you just need to start. No matter how easy the task is, getting started is always the first step. Then track 12, Once a Day. The closing track of the album, basically. Although there are 2 more bonuses that I will talk about. After his death, there was some footage on YouTube of him performing this song on piano in his celebration. Wait, it wasn't posted online. It was shown at a Celebration of Life tribute concert for Mac in 2018. The studio version of the song had been leaked online in 2019 before it was released as the closing track on Circles 3 months later. It sort of feels like a poem, a personal one at that. Mac seems to be harping on one of his usual subjects, being a victim of depression. More specifically, he decides that going through this affliction has been lonely for him. Once a day I rise, once a day I fall asleep with you. Mac talking about himself. He's in a constant battle with his inner voices. He wakes up with himself, falls asleep with himself, like we all do. Once a day I try, but I can't find a single word. Mac struggles with his thoughts and feelings, and he's not able to describe with words what's going on inside his head, either because it's so much or it's so strong that he can't understand it. I wonder, do they see their own reflection in the rain and look away? Mac uses rain or cloudy weather as an analogy for depression, or a dark state of mind in the past. This occurred quite a lot in swimming and this album as well. When Mac examines his problem or the rain for what they are, he only sees himself in them and distracts himself rather than tackling the issue at hand. And he's wondering, do other people feel the same and do the same? Everybody keep rushing. Why aren't we taking our time? Every now and again, baby, I get high. In this line, Mac's addressing all of us as we rush from moment to moment. Lover to lover, feel-good situation to feel-good situation, instead of taking our time to enjoy what's happening right now. Kind of bringing the album in the full circle back to the start, where he sings, don't put no more stress on yourself, it's one day at a time. In circles, he's saying, take things one day at a time. In this track instead, he's questioning why people don't. Mac was vocal about his struggles with substance abuse. He started smoking weed in the 5th grade, told Pitchfork in 2016 that he even worked as a dealer for a while. Don't keep it all in your head. Mac encourages us to search for help if they're dealing with something like he was. The only place that you know nobody can see you're running low on regret, no tears, that's keeping you wet. I think you're getting it now. Mac making a strong point that if you always keep your emotions inside your head, you'll only become more and more consumed by regret as time goes on. And everybody means something when they're stuck on your mind. If we recently had our hearts broken, we have a tendency to fixate on that lost person, and exaggerate the meaning of the relationship and memories and stuff. But yeah, within a few weeks or months, you're most likely going to realize that you were just overwhelmed in the moment. Then moving on to track 13, Right. This is the first of the bonus tracks. Max sending out a message to someone who was once in his life, letting them know that he's still here after their fallout, continuing to continue to show his love. Yeah, it's been a while without your face, but I saw your picture on the wall the other day. Social media has made it nearly impossible to not see people who aren't in your life anymore. In Mac's case, they were promoting some new music. What? Yeah, that's all I'm going to say because the next sentence doesn't make sense that I wrote here. Too much distance, too much space. Lastly, this could refer to the distance of time, I think. Since the song later admits, a few years ago I was so dumb. There's a sense of regret within Mac for his actions that might have contributed to the distance spanning years between Mac and this partner in the song. I know it hasn't been easy lately, but you don't want to leave me, baby. The decision to break up with Mac was hard for Ariana, put her through a lot of hate. Many saying she was the reason for Mac's DUI arrest. However, it's kind of from what she said about it. She did still really love him, and it was hard for her to leave. And I hate to keep you waiting. This is probably a callback to where he doesn't want to keep her waiting in Small Worlds, back on Swimming. Mac keeps talking, keeps his love interest waiting rather than getting on with it. But when it's right, then it's right, yeah. Given the backdrop of fighting and disagreement within this song, it's possible that, yeah, it is putting the focus on the relationship, putting it at the center of the discussion and working to attempt to resolve the issues without blaming each other hopefully would make it right. And I've been itching for your love. Don't want to feel a single thing if it ain't your touch. Yeah, Mac ultimately generally treats love as a drug. And how he developed an addiction to who he's in love with now. A few years ago, I was so dumb, clueless, young and stupid, but look at who I have become. I ain't gonna break your heart, promise it's always safe. Baby, don't go now, pull me closer. Towards the end of his life, Mac had a bit of a better understanding of his issues and with substances and depression and why he used them. Which is why he sort of characterized himself as dumb, clueless, young and stupid a few years ago, but having become a bit more mature now within that time. And yeah, talking to a previous partner, he says he may not be always there for her, but it's safe and he'll always love her. He doesn't want her to leave. Right now, he just needs her more than ever. And then track 14, Floating, the last track of the deluxe, has Mac fantasizing about escaping to a place where life's simple and he's free of all his earthly concerns. Feeling good, feeling free, when I can finally get away. Mac's constant reference to flying away and feeling free feels like it sort of foreshadows his death and conveys the acceptance that Mac feels towards this possible death. There's a place right above the clouds, somewhere in between later and right now. When I heard this bit, I feel like he's talking about obviously where we go when we pass away. I don't think you need to be a rocket scientist to work that one out. As indescribable or disagreeable it may be, talking about what that place is with other people. We each have our own place above the clouds, where we probably imagine that's where we're going to go after our life. Whether it's heaven or a lack of existence, it still fits the metaphor. Being in a place beyond existence, beyond the clouds. And you don't have to be scared. No, I'll be there when I can finally get away. Mac's telling us we don't have to be scared or alone after death. Or scared of being alone after death, because he'll meet us there in the afterlife. Or, yeah, he's just telling us we don't have to be scared of where we'll go because he'll be in that place above the clouds. When I can finally get away, soaring uncontrollably, gravity ain't holding me down. Maybe I'll fly to your front door sometime. In his song Smile, he uses gravity as a metaphor for his depression. But when he can finally get away, gravity doesn't have a hold on him anymore. Hence, he can soar uncontrollably. He wrote this as a comforting message, I think, for when he passes away. Mac telling us that one day he might come back and visit. Someday, after he's gone, maybe. And that wraps it up. That wraps up all of Mac's music that I wanted to talk about anyway. I'll see how I feel. I might come back to watching movies and Faces later on, maybe. And even maybe some of his alter ego stuff as well. But I'll see when I feel like it. But that sort of, I don't know what I'm going to do next. I think I'm gonna keep going with the weekly updates just to keep you guys all in the loop of what I'm up to, even if it's just 10 minutes. I think keeping that grind up, that I always want to, if I keep the grind going and keep releasing and recording every week, when something good does come up that I do want to talk about, I don't need to procrastinate at getting that done like I have been with my studies and stuff, and like I have been with the podcast a couple of times, especially before I started this run of, I've recorded a bunch of episodes since I got back now, and it is pretty awesome to, say that and feel like I've accomplished something. I've recorded 13 episodes since I've come back, so double what I had before that, basically. So anyway, I hope you guys liked or enjoyed listening to all of the albums I talked about of Max. Especially, I feel the Divine Feminine and Swimming, with the Divine Feminine being my favorite and Swimming being what I would say Max's best project that he's released in his career, I think. So I'll think of something to chat about next week. Hopefully it's something exciting and anyway, I'm sure it'll involve one of my exams anyway. So I'll talk to you guys again next week. Thank you for listening. Bye.